A wise woman once said,
"Great gowns, beautiful gowns."
Because it's true. Sometimes when you are enjoying a visual medium, you may be looking at those costumes going, gosh, they're pretty. And many musicals do have gorgeous gowns, or maybe very inventive gowns. I can't believe this is the direction I'm going with the intro. The reference I'm referencing isn't even theatre related, it's about Taylor Swift. But with so many gorgeous gowns in musicals, so much amazing costume design, there you go, I should actually call it what it is. This does beg the question we were always going to ask. Which musical has the best costume design? Every musical has some form of costume. How will we decide? Oh wait, we have the versus bracket. Welcome back to the versus bracket. The way that I determine out of 32 musicals which is my favorite blank. We've done characters, we've done songs, we've done so many songs, I'm out of song varieties to do. If you have any ideas for versus brackets, please do let me know. But today I have chosen 32 musicals with fantastic costume design, and they are going to battle each other 1v1 till we decide my winner. As always, theatre is what? Subjective. And with that, so is this bracket. So I implore you to play along in the comments down below. They're some of my favorite comments on all of these videos. Seeing how you answer differently, seeing it changes the entire bracket. Every single person's bracket is going to be unique, and that's what makes it wonderful. But if you haven't seen my face before, hi, I'm Ellie. I talk about theatre. I am the most chaotic theatre person on the internet. I do reviews, I do discussions, I do versus brackets, I do tier lists, and if any of that sounds interesting to you, please consider hitting like and subscribe. It really helps me, it helps out the channel. But let's dive in to this bracket. Now, the rules for this bracket fit very similarly to my rules on the set design bracket we did a little while ago. I have picked 32 different musicals. I know which productions I'm talking about. I'm mostly speaking about the ones that I've seen. Some of these shows I haven't even seen on stage, and I will be relying on my knowledge on them more vaguely to get me through the discussions. So let's say for something like Starlit Express, right? Where we have the new version I'm more familiar with, but the classic version is really iconic as well. I will mostly focus my speaking on the newer version, but I will give some thoughts, and we will also weigh up the original in that discussion as well. As much as I can do, unless I just don't really like the other version that much, and then I will just speak about the one I like more. But I've put 32 musicals in, I've given them a little shuffle, I've taken some of your suggestions into account as well, and let's start with our first pairing. And Juliet versus the SpongeBob musical. Now, while I do like a lot of the direction that the UK tour SpongeBob musical did, I'm going to mostly focus on the Broadway version of the designs for this show. And I've got to say, it's very strong. It is very strong. My favorite thing about the way that they adapt, because, you know, adapting SpongeBob characters to stage is not an easy task. They've tried even before the original SpongeBob musical, and this was the result. But costume designer David Zinn was smart, and instead of doing that, decided instead to take the silhouettes of the SpongeBob characters, the basic shape of them, and translate that more to stage in their designs. So it was this really cool blend between the designs from the cartoon and also a more human look for each of them, using hair or different clothing to give you the color scheme of these characters instead of like painting them or something. And I mean, there's also the spectacle of something like Squidward, where, you know, you have the intricate design of the 4 legs, making sure that that design can also tap dance with 4 feet as well. Really cleverly done. Strong contender, very hard to beat. It's a shame that it's up against And Juliet, because I really do like And Juliet. It's another thing that's blending two things together, taking a very modern style and trying to blend that with a more historical, more Elizabethan, more Tudor-inspired look. And I think it all looks really trendy. Paloma Young's designs here are gorgeous, especially, you know, Juliet's iconic costumes, the pink jacket. I want that. I want that jacket. If I could steal any costume from a musical, it probably would be that jacket, because it is gorgeous. I think a lot of the costumes are really striking. It blends the periods really well. It is a tough decision, because I do really love both, but I feel like because of the stronger challenges that this musical has to live up to, I would go with SpongeBob. I think I'm going to go with SpongeBob on this one. Tough battle because Anne Juliet does have some of my favorite costumes, some of my favorite costume pieces, but I have to give it to the creativity of SpongeBob. Next up, we have the costumes from Cats, designed by John Napier, and the costumes from Kinky Boots, designed by Greg Barnes. Now, a lot of the costumes from Kinky Boots are fairly like casual clothes, you know, when you think about the factory workers and Charlie, but it is the drag queen looks that gets this onto this list. I mean, anything you hand to Lola is incredible. All of the boots that are designed as such an integral part of the show. From the iconic red boot, shining, shimmering, splendid, wrong musical, to even the other looks that are showcased on the runway at the end. Obviously, one of my favorites, the Union Jack one. Oh, it's so camp, and I love how they integrated that into the marketing of the UK production as well. Genius idea, love that. It's stunning. It's great work from Barnes, who makes sure that all of the queens have such striking looks. I even like, you know, Lola's out of drag look. Her version of dressing down, and even though it's still luxurious and glamorous in every single way, you can still see a hesitancy from her and her trying to hold back in that moment. And the costume design in that is really, really clever. There's so many fantastic designs in here, so much to take in. And then there's Cats, which I think has some of the most iconic costumes in theatre history. I mean, you cannot get the image out of your mind of Miss Mistopheles, of Jenny Anydots. All of these iconic imageries are so hard to separate from Cats. So much so that if you're doing Cats and you're wanting to go in a different direction, you kind of have to do what the ballroom production did and just throw it all out the window. This blend of the feline and like the dancing elements of it, the leg warmers and the tails and everything, it's so camp, it's so iconic, and this is tough because if you ask me which one I probably prefer, it is probably Kinky Boots. I think a lot of the drag queen outfits are so iconic, so striking. But iconography and craftsmanship and ideas makes me feel like I should give it to Cats. So it's this kind of push and pull from me that I don't quite know. This is a tough decision, but I am going to give it to Cats. It's close. It's really close. And I think it is just the iconography of it that is making me give it to that. But the boots from Kinky Boots, the costumes all there, how striking they are. I wish they were on stage even more because they are just so glamorous. Next up, I'm making this video too early, right? Because I should really be making this video next week, because next week I'm going to see the Devil Wears Prada musical, which, I mean, is a musical all about costumes, right? So, I mean, maybe after next week I'll get the full span and spectrum of every single costume in the show, but I'm going on what we know so far. I've seen the sizzle reel, I've seen some of the production photos, I know a general gist of some of those costumes, and my god, they are glamorous. But maybe that won't even matter, because it's up against Lion King. Oh, well. Look, this is rough, because let me show you some of the costumes from Devil Wears Prada. Glamour, couture, designer. The costume design in this musical is done by Greg Barnes, but also some credit has to go to Pamela Rowland, who does a lot of like the bigger pieces in this musical. Oh my god, I would kill to wear a dress like that. My god. But then you have something completely on the opposite side of it. We're going from couture to costume, because Lion King is so creative, so clever. Julie Taymor's direction in this costume design is fantastic. The blend of all of these elements, the way that all of these animals are brought to life with a mixture of this costume and the puppetry. It's so cleverly done. It's so intricate. It's so gorgeous. It's so magical. It's so transportive. It's so hard to pick between these two because they are so different. But I think there's so much creativity in the Lion King's costumes, even when they're going beyond the characters, even when you're going beyond like puppetry, because we're not thinking too much about puppetry. I want to do a separate bracket for puppetry once I have enough musicals that I can actually talk about that have puppetry. That's why Avenue Q's not on here. I did consider it. But I'm thinking, like, even when they're, like, the Pride Lands, even when they're the grass, even when they're these set pieces, essentially, they look gorgeous. I want to give it to Prada. And maybe once I've seen Prada, maybe I would have enough arguments to put it above. But it's got a really tough first round competitor. and I will give it to Lion King. Next up, this is, oh my God, this bracket is killing me slowly. This is really, really hard. The King and I versus Moulin Rouge. Oh, okay, this is fine. I'm fine. Are you fine? How easy are you finding this? I'm not finding it easy at all. Okay. The King and I is a musical, right? That I know the costumes, I know the musical less. I think I've seen the pro shot like ages ago. I don't remember much about the actual musical, but what I do remember is the costumes. I mean, even just like the ball gown that's in all the marketing. Oh my God. The fun thing about this pairing, both musicals designed by Catherine Zuber. So, I mean, no matter who I pick, she wins. I love that. Same designer. We love that. Her work is gorgeous. I mean, Rouge's costumes. I'm picturing Harold Ziedler, that iconic look, the top hat, the red jacket. I'm picturing the bohemian looks. I'm picturing the costumes from the girls at the Rouge. The can-can dresses, so flowy and everything. I'm picturing King and I, like the really iconic costumes. Oh, I love it. I love it. Everyone in that musical looks gorgeous. Oh my God. Oh, I mean, this might be another one where it's like Prada. And if I remembered the musical more, maybe I'd be more leaning to King and I. But my gut is telling me to go with Rouge, and I don't know whether I should, because yes, King and I is glorious. King and I is beautiful. There's so much in there, so much beauty in all of those costumes. But I think there's so much creativity in Rouge. I think there's like a grit to those costumes as well that perfectly fits that musical, perfectly fits that location. Like, all you need to do is look. You know, you get an instant idea of what this location is like, and it is gorgeous. I do feel wrong if I give it to Rouge though, but I think I am going to give it to Rouge. That feels wrong. But I mean, Zuba's won anyway, so I'm sure she'd be fine. Next up, we have Lacage at Falls. Now, this is one where I'm going to specifically speak about the Regent's Park version. That's the one I know. I don't think I've seen a single costume from another production of Lacage, so that's the one I'm going with. Versus, oh boy, Six. Oh boy, Gabriella Slade's outfits in Six. So cool. So cool. I think there's a reason. There is a reason that whenever you go to a musical con, whenever you even go and see Six, you will see someone wearing one of those Six costumes because they're so cool. The little Tudor influences are in there, definitely, with the peplums, with the actual design of everything. There's so much in there and so much creativity, but it all feels very slick and modern and interesting. Each of the queens having their own different color really makes them feel unique on stage. It really does underline that theme in Six of, yes, they are all intrinsically linked by Henry VIII and by their marriage to Henry VIII, but they are their own people and they have their own voices. Great. Really, really strong. Then there's Lacage, and look, I love drag queens. I love a drag queen look, and these are some iconic drag queen looks. And what's more, they worked incredibly in the outdoor space. Ryan Dawson lights work on this, incredible, gorgeous, stunning. There was a point towards the end, because when you're watching a show at Regent Park, right, around like 8, 9 o'clock, the sun will go down, the sun will set, so the stage is a little bit darker. So, as part of the design, the drag queen outfits had lights. Genius. And I mean, they were so luxurious. They were so so fitting to the era. I did love them a lot, but I feel like I'm going to have so many people screaming at me if Six doesn't go through. And I do think that the iconography of Six, very similar to Cats vs. Kinky Boots, is what's going to send Six through to next round for me. Tough decision, because I really did love Lacage and all of those glamorous gowns, but I think Six is something special. Next up, 2 historical musicals now, Hamilton and Something Rotten. I really appreciate Hamilton's design because they could have just gone for the very classic look. They could have just gone for like the classic Founding Fathers and having that completely be it. But Paul Tazewell's designs were more clever than that. Knowing that Hamilton itself is a blend of the modern and the classic, they decided to have it be very historical costumes, but from the top have a more modern hair. And what you get is actually a fairly natural blend. And then there's Something Rotten. We got more costumes designed by Greg Barnes, and I mean, they are great. Leaning very much into the Tudor aesthetic. You got cod pieces galore. We got ruffles, we got everything, and I love like the campness of blending that with the musical theatre of it all. I really do like it. It's hard to say which is stronger though. I think these two are quite on par with each other, but I might give the edge to Something Rotten over here. I might just give it to Something Rotten. I think there's a really fun element to those costumes that I will give it to Something Rotten. Next up, oh boy. Oh, a musical you didn't think could ever get it onto these brackets. I didn't think I'd ever find a way to get this musical onto the brackets, but I've done it. Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. Yes, the Broadway musical based on the Spider-Man comics. That was one of the biggest financial flops in Broadway history. Had a very tumultuous time getting to Broadway. It's here because, surprisingly, the costumes are really cool. They're weird. They are weird. I'm not going to deny that. I mean, look at Green Goblin. Look at him. Yes, that is Patrick Page. Love that. Eiko Ishioka's designs on this really do look quite good, actually. From Green Goblin, like, the striking color scheme of it really brings it to life on stage. But then there's also the other villains. There's like Electro. There's the lizard, who I think is like an inflatable costume, which is glamorous. I love that. And even like their design of Spider-Man is really cool. I love a lot of the comic book feel to it. It does look really good. Like, you can say a lot of things about Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. You can say a lot, but this did look very cool. I've said all of that, and I haven't even told you the other musical it's up against, because it's up against 42nd Street. Now, I'm going to speak specifically about the version at the Theatre Royal Drury Lane. I have seen multiple productions of 42nd Street, actually. I saw the revival at Sadler's Wells, like last year? Yeah. Which did also have really good costumes. But, you know, when you think 42nd Street, I did want to more focus on Roger Kirk's designs, and, you know, It's exactly what you want out of 42nd Street. It's the glitz, it's the glam, it's the Broadway, it's the top hats and sparkle and everything. And I mean, it's tough because on the one hand, you have gorgeous gowns, sparkling all around the place and everything, and it's really strong, and I love everything about it. But you got Spider-Man. And, I mean, they're so creative in the ways that they bring these villains to life. I mean, even, like, the weird spider lady has a really cool costume. God of Spiders or whatever she is. I can't, the plot of Turn Off the Dark is so weird. And it was even weirder before Julie Taymor stepped away from the project. Is it a crime if I give it to... Yeah, I kind of want to give it to Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. And they're very different. You know, it's hard to pick, and you can pick either way. I just kind of want to see how far Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark can go into this bracket as well. I want to see it go far. I want it to win. Let's go. I'm rooting for Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. Let's go. It didn't win on Broadway, so let's see if we can win here. Next up, two musicals with really long names. We have A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, designed by Linda Cho. And we have Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812, designed by Paloma Young, which I was really surprised to find out. I didn't realize that Paloma Young designed the costumes for this. And I found that out by doing this bracket. Obviously, if you've already forgotten, Paloma Young did the designs for Anne Juliet. I mean, I literally told you it earlier in this video. Did you remember? I hope you remembered. Now, Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812 has some great costumes. I always think of Pierre, like the yellow waistcoat. I mean, Josh Groban in that outfit. But I mean, that's not even the strongest outfit. Anything Natasha wore in that musical, gorgeous. I mean, I think of like the white dress with the puffs. Don't know if they got proper names, probably, but like the fur like lining of it and like the puffs on the sleeves. Oh, glorious. Oh, iconic. There's so many gorgeous outfits in this. Anything Anatole wears as well, like the green coat. Oh, striking. I'm just showing you more and more now. They look gorgeous. They look so perfect for the period that the musical's set in. But if you are unfamiliar with A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, this is a musical. It won the Best Musical Tony. It's a musical that hasn't made its way over here yet, which is so weird because it's set in England. It's like Victorian period inspired. And I mean, there's great costumes from Monty. There's great costumes from like the love interests in the musical. Yes, there's multiple. But I think the reason it won the Tony for costume is definitely Linda chose designs for all of the family members of the Dice Swifts. Because the main gag of the musical, right, is that this guy is going around, kind of spoilers, I guess, but I mean, it's the main crux of the musical, so I mean, you can't really... And it's in the title as well. The main guy, Monty, it finds out he's part of this family, but he's like the ninth in line to like all the money. So he slowly goes through the family and kills them one by one, coming up with weirder and weirder ways to do it and to, you know, keep getting away with it. But the gag, every single Dice Swift that's not Monty is played by the same actor. And there's moments in the show where this actor is going from costume to costume. They're all made so that this actor can just literally go off stage with about 6 people coming around, ripping things off and putting things on. And they're really intricate. They're like really, really well-designed costumes. So beautiful, but so cleverly done so that they can all be done through quick changes, through switches, all being so unique, so characterful, and lending so well to the actor being able to go about it. There's a great clip, which I'll try and insert here, where the main actor is introducing the performance at the Tony Awards, and he goes through a bunch of the different characters as he's performing the speech and telling you what the show is about. And you can see, even through this footage, how intricate this is, how much effort and so much time, and how he just completely transforms with every single different outfit. This one to me is a no-brainer. I would give it to A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. Love Natasha Pierre. Love it to bits. But it's Love and Murder. All right, we've done the first half of the bracket. Let's move on to the second half. Next up, 2 British musicals here. I always try my best to include a new British musical onto these lists. I try and fit it to the musical that fits it the best. The thing is, with new British musicals, when you're thinking small scale, a lot of the costumes are good, but they're not like... I never really picture them as like being the best of all time. The one that I felt actually I could kind of speak about... Why Am I So Single? I will justify it, trust me, but it actually has really fun costumes. And on the other side of the bracket, Matilda. Now, Why Am I So Single has a really clever conceit, right? Because the main 2 costumes, they're quite simple, but they are nice. You see a lot of people cosplaying in these outfits. I saw a lot of MusicalCon. I went back to Why Am I So Single, and there was 2 people on the front row dressed as the leads. And I think they're very characterful and very fun. And I like the link of them both having a heart on their outfit, but in different ways. But it's the furniture costumes, right? That I feel like's got it on this list because they're so fun. The fridge, like the puffer jacket fridge, camp. The plant, the wall, all of these ensemble members are dressed in these costumes that look like the furniture around the flat. They become the flat. And they're honestly quite well done to the fact that they could probably like walk out in a lot of these outfits and they would look fairly normal. Like not the most normal, let's be honest. But like the blend between the furniture and like an actual like streetwear kind of look is really well done, really well handled. On the other side of it, let's talk about Matilda, right? Because I feel like Matilda is a set of costumes that has an aesthetic and sticks to it so well. They've got a very strict color scheme, matching kind of towards Trunchbull, towering over you, so well translated from the book. There's even like the family, the Wormwoods, and the color scheme that's applied to them. You have like the salsa outfit that Mrs. Wormwood wears. And of course the dyed green hair that ends up matching the suit that Mr. Wormwood has. All of these really interesting colors really complementing even the scenic design. It's really cleverly matched together. Rob Howell did a great job on this, and so did Max Johns, who did Why Am I Single, which makes this a difficult decision. But when all is said and all is done, I do think I would give it to Matilda. A tough call to make, but a call I'm having to make either way because otherwise there's no video. Next up, we have Rocky Horror. If you want to speak iconic outfit, Sue Blaine's designs for Rocky Horror, which then translated to the film as well, absolutely iconic, versus the most recent Tony Award winner for Best Costume Design in a Musical, The Great Gatsby, designed by Linda Cho, who already has a musical, made it to the second round, also designed Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, but can it win again? I think it's got a fighting chance. I mean, I think they were handed a great time period of Gatsby. You have like the art decor stuff. And of course, with that, you have all of the flapper dresses. You have that really iconic look, you know, the short hair, the feather, everything that's really translated well to the Great Gatsby musical. It's exactly what you're expecting from a big flashy Gatsby musical. It's those costumes, it's that design, it's the fringe and everything. It does look very glamorous. It is gorgeous and very striking on that stage, especially when you're at the parties. Even characters like Gatsby and Daisy and what they're wearing, very, very cool. But Rocky Horror, you know, you have Frank's outfit. You have Rocky, who's not wearing much. But I mean, technically, there's also the costume design too. Costume design ain't just what they're wearing, it's also what they're not. And even like the usherette, even going into like Columbia, Riff Raff, these designs are so striking, so interesting, so bold and wonderful, perfectly contrasting with the more normal looks from Brad and Janet, thrusting them into this world that they're not quite used to yet. The floor show outfits. I think there's such a clear reason why people go and see Rocky Horror and wear these outfits. They are so iconic. I do think I'd give this to Rocky Horror. Very different tonally, very different approach, but I think I would give this to Rocky Horror. We have two family-friendly musicals up next with great costume design. We have Beauty and the Beast, originally designed on Broadway by Anne Hold Ward, and we have Shrek, originally designed on Broadway by Tim Heatley. Both of these are really creative. These are really creative adaptations to the stage because these aren't the easiest things to bring to stage. Beauty and the Beast, you have to find a way to translate these objects. People who've been cursed to become like a teapot or a clock. And you got to find a way to translate that and make human versions of that without, you know, dropping too much from the film, what people know. I would say Beauty and the Beast is one of the best Disney films, but it's not one that I've always loved on stage, but something, no matter what the production is, that I can appreciate is those costumes. Lumiere with the lights, even, you know, the classic ballroom scene, even the Beast, the yellow bell dress, so iconic. Everything does really come together well for Beauty and the Beast, costume-wise. I think it is a very striking design. Shrek, I think, though, does it better. It's tough and it's close, but I do think Shrek translates a little bit stronger. The makeup done on Shrek to properly bring him to the stage is really well done. And you can tell how hard it is to translate that to stage when you look at amateur productions trying to do it with no budget, and you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I wish they didn't set you up for this failure because they did it so well with the prosthetics on Broadway and now nothing can live up to that. Like, I pity any school trying to put on Shrek the Musical because it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy being green. But even beyond that, all the fairy tale creatures are really interestingly designed, you know, taking influence from the film and blending it all together. There's a lot of fun in that. There's a lot of really interesting changes from the film that they do with these costumes. Donkey's really well done. Fiona's really well done. Obviously, the transformation into the Fiona Ogre version as well. There's a lot that I can say. Beauty and the Beast has some fantastic designs, definitely with Lumiere, definitely with Cogsworth, but I do think overall I would give it to Shrek. Next up, we want to speak about tough first round decisions. We've got another one. Starlight Express versus Into the Woods. Now, the original costumes from Into the Woods, designed, same designer as Beauty and the Beast, Anne Hold Ward. And look, I'm going to speak more about the Gabriella Slade versions of the Starlight Express outfits, but for the people who do really love those outfits, I will also speak about John Napier's costume design as well. I just want to focus more on the production that I know. The thing is, with Starlight Express, neither versions look very much like trains. It's hard to translate trains to like a human. I don't think it's the easiest match. And, you know, I think they do a good job. I think the reason I prefer the newer outfits is because they're just a little bit less bulky, which I get it. Trains are bulky, but both of them are really iconic in their own ways. I really love the lights and the modern outfits. I really love that, you know, the classic kind of materials that you picture from Six embedded onto this. It is kind of Six on roller skates here, but it does look really strong. I love the backpacks designs. I love the color schemes. I love the metallic feeling to it. I love Rusty's outfit as well. The oranges and like the rust of it all. These are great great designs. And even from the original production, you have like Dinah's costume that's really iconic. And I like how they play with that in the modern version with a different color scheme. I like how how Greaseball looks in both versions as well. I like how they've taken the gender bends of these and still feel true to like the original versions as well. There's a lot of really great design in Starlight Express. Into the Woods is wild, right? If you want to know why I'm calling them wild, go and look up the wolf's outfit from the original Broadway production of Into the Woods. Yeah. That's an interesting choice, Anne, but I guess it would be accurate to a wolf, I guess. But I mean, beyond that, they are very iconic. Little Red's outfit, I love the baker and the baker's wife and their looks. The witch, obviously big bonus points in that. The transformation from like the Act 1 version of the witch to when she changes towards the end of Act 1 into the more glamorous, the younger version as well. The quick change of that is amazing, incredible. There's loads of great designs here. Tough race, but the musical about racing has won. All right, next up, we have The Cher Show. Broadway designs done by the legendary designer Bob Mackie versus Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella. I'm going specifically with the Broadway revival, I think from 2013. These were designed by William Ivy Long, who is the most nominated costume designer on Broadway. At the Tony Awards, he has the most nominations. Little fun fact for you there. There you go. And I mean, this is tough because, okay, we're going ball gowns. We're going glam. We're going quick changes from Cinderella in her rags to the riches. Like, there's so many brilliant outfits here. Everything at the ball is amazing. Oh my God, just this image right here. You've got that there. That is it. That is the costumes. That is everything. But then you're up against Cher. And let me tell you, I believe in life after love. Like... It's tough because it's literally just Bob Mackie's designs on stage. I mean, you can't beat that. That is difficult to beat. I pity anything else going up against the Cher Show. And I'm seeing what's probably likely going to go up against the Cher Show next. And actually, that's going to be a really tough one next round. Oh, God. Every Cher look translated is just so glamorous. It's so drag. Cher is so drag. Snap out of it. I do think it is Bob Mackie's designs from the Cher Show. Oh my God. Next up, oh boy, William Ivy Long, most nominated Broadway designer, also designed this musical as well. These are the two musicals I picked. I didn't expect that both would be going out in the first round, but okay. We have Beetlejuice. And I'm not going to tell you what Beetlejuice is up against, because I'd like to have a moment to speak about how clever the designs for Beetlejuice are. It is difficult, right? When you are translating something so iconic to the stage to input your own voice. And I think the fact that they took the visual design of Beetlejuice, right? Took the iconic looks, took all of these, but still managed to give it its own voice, similar to how the musical itself takes the plot of Beetlejuice and really plays with it, really rips things out, moves stuff around, plays with who the focus is and the protagonist is to create its own version. The costumes also do that. William Ivy Long's designs here are fantastic, to Beetlejuice staying in the really iconic suit throughout the entire show, unlike the film where he's only in that striped suit for like a minute. But also blending that with the idea of maybe Beetlejuice having these color schemes that reflect his mood. We have the red hair Beetlejuice when he's angry, the purple when he's sad, and of course the iconic green. We also have the hidden trick where Beetlejuice can like rip off his head and reveal his brain. Really chaotic, really camp, really gothic. And speaking of gothic, you have Lydia's outfit. A really great translation of that original outfit from the film. Moving away from a couple of the elements like the hair, to give it its own voice, but still feeling true to who Lydia is as well. There's, all of the Neverworld people. There's the football team. There's Juno. They take the idea of the slit neck and the smoking from Juno from the film, who looks really normal in the film, and then plays a bit more, making her more villainous in her look. Now, I've said all of that. I've said all that praise because I want you to know I'm sending Beetlejuice out first round. And it's sad because Beetlejuice is so creative. A perfect way to adapt something from film to the stage and still make sure it has its own unique voice. But it's up against Wicked. Wicked has a weird track record in my videos, right? Wicked has a weird track record because, you know, it hasn't necessarily made it that far in many of these. You know, even with something like Defying Gravity, it was up against a really hard competitor and went out really early. When it was in other brackets, it hasn't made it as far as I want it to. But I think if we're going to give Wicked anything, it is the costume design. Elphaba's look, the striking green, the eventual black witch dress, and how that contrasts to her earlier outfit, the blues, the glasses and everything of a university look. There's Glinda, who literally has some of the best outfits you've ever seen on stage. The bubble dress, the pinks, the yellows, everything she wears is so good. So well designed, so beautiful. You have the designs for the monkeys, for Dr. Dillamond. You have the wizard, who looks really cool in the green suit. You have Madame Morrible's dress, so iconic, so bulky. But I love it. It's so fitting to her character. Really giving her that grandiose nature to her. Even the ensemble looks at the university, the uniform and everything. You've got the Emerald City outfits. You've got the eventual turn of them into the iconic characters from The Wizard of Oz, slowly becoming more and more like those designs, like the Tin Man, like the Lion, like the Scarecrow. Oh my god, I am so sad that Beetlejuice found itself in the first round against Wicked, because there's no way that I can't send Wicked through. Despite how much I love the costumes from Beetlejuice, it has to go to Wicked. Susan Hilferty's costume design is just so good. It's so good. Now, can we get any easier next round? Nope. Okay, it's Phantom of the Opera versus Hello Dolly. I'm going to speak about Ray Smith's designs from the recent revival at the London Palladium. That's the production I know the best. And of course, we're going to speak about Maria Bjornsson's designs for Phantom. I think Phantom has so many striking costumes. There's, of course, the opera mask, the original Phantom outfit. You have the masquerade outfits from everyone, from Christine to Raoul. And there's Hello Dolly. I mean, in this specific production, I love the Sunday clothes. Like the date night dresses and everything, especially like Minnie Cooper's one. Oh, stunning. Glorious. That is probably one of my favorite outfits. And of course, Dolly. Dolly and Hello Dolly coming down the green in this production. Normally it's red, but it was green, and I love that. But I do think Phantom of the Opera is overall stronger. I do think some of those costumes are so good. Marie's work on that production, glorious, so striking. Again, another one that you always see at MusicalCon, because these costumes are so intricate, so well designed. Christine, everything she wears is glamorous and amazing. I'm going to give it to Phantom. And finally for round one, oh, this has been really hard. This is like the longest I've been recording one of these in a long time. Priscilla, Sister Act. Morgan Large's Sister Act costumes, of course, for most of the time, it's fairly normal. You know, you have some great costumes from Dolores. I love her initial like outfit from the start, like the jacket and the fur and everything. Glamorous, gorgeous, and Beverly Knight and Alexandra Burke always look stunning in them. But I mean, it's the camp glittery nuns. They're so fun, and that's what's got it onto this list. But it's difficult to beat Priscilla. I think Priscilla is a musical which has like really campy costumes. They all look like they've been designed by these queens, but they're so iconic in that, like the foam wigs, and Tim Chappell and Lizzie Gardner's outfits from that have become so iconic, so linked to Priscilla. I do think they're very good. All right, let's go through the next rounds and find our winner. Speedrun, let's go. SpongeBob versus Cats. Tough to say, because I do really like SpongeBob. I do like a lot of those designs. However, when I'm thinking about it, when all is said and done, I do think Cats is more iconic and more strong. Lion King versus Rouge. Oh, tough, because honestly, I would say I probably prefer Rouge. I do think there's a lot about Rouge's costumes that are so glorious, but I do think Lion King takes it because of a lot of its creativity and bringing that story to life. 6, Something Rotten. I think there's a slam dunk for 6, both inspired by the same period of history, but I do think I like the modern twist on 6 as well, and I do think those costumes are more iconic. Turn Off the Dark, A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. While I pushed Spider-Man through and wanted it to get far, I don't think it's going to be A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. The way that those costumes are done, the way that they're made to quick change in seconds is so clever, so well done, and even so, Each of these costumes looking so well put together and so characterful, I think I have to give it to A Gentleman's Guide. Matilda versus Rocky Horror. Ooh, okay, because I do think Matilda's costumes are stronger, but I do think Rocky Horror is more iconic. And that is the push and pull that I'm feeling. Which way am I going to go today? I'm going to go Rocky Horror. That might be wrong. But I'm gonna go with my gut, and that's what my gut is saying, because that's the point of this round. You know, I can have like loads of time to think about it before, but no, I have to speed run through. Shrek versus Starlight is difficult. This is probably going to be one of the most difficult ones this round. Oof, because there's so much creativity in Shrek, even towards like the ensemble characters. But then again, I can say the exact same for Starlight. It's tough. There's so much creativity in Shrek. There's so much that they bring to life. But then again, the Starlight trains, really well put together, really interesting designs, really, really fun, and so characterful as well. Oh, I could give it to either. I think I've talked myself around to Starlight, though. Share Show, Bob Mackie versus Wicked. Oh, look, if Wicked is going to knock out a musical that I thought was going to make it to finale in the first round, I kind of have to give it to Wicked. I mean, I think while the costumes for the Cher show are fantastic, are glamorous, are everything, you know, Cher related and just amazing, I'm going to give it to Wicked. Phantom, Priscilla. Oh, the thing about it is, while Priscilla's costumes are really, really glamorous, they are crafty. They are very crafty, but I mean, that's very fitting to the musical and what these queens are. You know, they are just scrapping together whatever they can find. And I think the way that they use that and still make it look really well put together and everything is really, really cool. There's so many great costumes from Priscilla, but then again, you've got Masquerade, you've got the actual look of the Phantom himself, you've got everything Christine wears. I'm going to give it to Phantom. Okay, round 3. Cats, Lion King. Oh, Battle of the Felines. Okay, I think I would give this one to Lion King. While I do love Cats, while I do love those looks, I do think Lion King offers me a little bit more. Tough, very different, very well done, both of them, but I would give it to that. 6, A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. All of the 6 fans are about to cry because I do think I have to give it to A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. Again, those quick changes and everything. So cleverly done. The 6 costumes are so iconic, and please don't think that this means I don't still want one of the 6 outfits. I want one, please. Give me Anne Boleyn. I would rock that any day of the week, but I would give it to A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. Beautiful gowns. Other side, Rocky Horror Starlight Express. I do think this is where Rocky Horror meets its match. While it's iconic, I do think the craftsmanship of Starlight is a little bit stronger. And then it's Phantom or Wicked. Phantom or Wicked. I know what I have to do, and I don't know if I've got the strength to do it. I mean, they've been treated so badly. This musical's been treated so bad. And it is Wicked's week. You know, the film does come out in a couple of days. I don't know when I'm posting this, but I'm seeing it on Friday. I'm giving it to Wicked. I do think Wicked's stronger. Okay. Semi-finals. Lion King, A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. It's difficult, right? Because, again, these are 2 musicals who do very different things and are so phenomenally successful in what they do. Lion King, the creativity of that, the inputting of the African culture into all of this and making sure that's at the forefront of a lot of these costumes. And then there's a quick change of A Gentleman's Guide, the Victorian influence that sinks through everything. It's really difficult. It is really difficult. I'm leaning more towards Lion King right now. I would say that. But I have to remember I'm not speaking about the puppetry. So that takes away Zazu's puppet and only leaves with like the outfit underneath, which is still really strong. How much can I count that? Because it is integral to the costume design, but it's also technically puppetry, which I'm separating. I'm gonna have to cut this down a lot, but I want you to know that I've been sitting here for ages trying to draw this one through. I think being here, I would give this one to Lion King. Just. And the other side, Starlight versus Wicked. I love both. I do think this is an easy choice for me. Wicked has gone through some of the hardest competitors in that tiny little bit of bracket to get to this point. It has forced its way, and I do think it makes it to finale. So, we've made it to the finale of the bracket. This was tough. A lot of my favorites were kind of congealed together into one area. That was difficult, but I do think these 2 being I do think even like the top 4 was very correct. And I think these 2 finale choices are strong examples of costuming in musicals. So, which musical is your favorite costume design? Which are your final two, and which out of my final two is your overall winner? Let me know in the comments as I tell you my winner. Lion King versus Wicked. Lion King, so much creativity, so much beauty, so much about it. It's so well crafted. And Wicked, your ensemble outfits being so striking, perfectly bringing you into these worlds, the way they translate these characters from the book, from everything, taking all of these different influences and creating their own version. But I do think it takes the crown for me when it comes to costumes. The king is dethroned. I think it's Wicked's costumes that are its strongest element. I love how it plays with everything. I love how it brings these characters to life. I love the intricacy of something like Glinda's bubble dress, a costume that, you know, has so much detail in it that you don't even get to properly see when you're sat in an audience watching it on stage. They're so well crafted. Susan Hilferty's costume design, absolutely glorious. Tough final two, tough bracket overall. But I do think Wicked finally takes the crown in this one. Wicked, you did it! You did it, Wicked! And just in time for your film. So, what do you think? Now, I only have 32 spots in these brackets, so I'm sure there's a bunch of musicals I could have included on here. So, what's a musical I didn't mention that has amazing costume design? And let me know all your thoughts on this bracket in the comments down below. If you did enjoy this video, please consider hitting like and subscribe. It really helps me out the channel. Here's some links to some other videos on screen right now and a link to my Instagram if you'd like to drop me a follow over there. I also have other social links and a merch store in the description down below. But that's it for me today, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.